It's time to do a more thorough review of the Onewheel, I suppose. Been riding it for about, 80 miles, 90 miles, somewhere in there at this point. And I figured it'd be a good time to do it. And by the way, I am doing switch stance September. I normally ride this direction, but since the Onewheel is a bi-directional sort of beast, it's actually really hard to switch directions like that. But once you're going, it's not so bad. We'll just go over again how this thing works. We've got a pad here and here that senses whether you're on or not. So essentially, you put your foot down, it senses that you're on. There's a light that I covered up with tape there because at night it's blinding. But once you get into a balanced position, the board turns on for the first time. To turn it off, you can lift your heel and it turns off like that. Easy peasy. So you can do this from either direction. You can start like this and then get up to there and it goes, or you can do the other way. But I've just been focusing on riding switch stance this entire month, and it has actually improved my regular stance. But overall, just a review of the board itself, it has pretty much gone without a hiccup, other than me having to get used to, the foot sensor and dealing with all that. I've been riding it in the fast mode, not the Alpine fast mode, but the normal fast mode, which is more comfortable for commuting. If I was doing off-road, if I had the off-road tire, then I would switch it to Alpine. But yeah, it works as advertised. It's a self-balancing one-wheel object. So far doing really good. So far it is doing really good. Been using it for mostly commuting, about 2.5 miles from my house to the shop up here. And just, I go slow. It has a maximum speed of 18 miles an hour. I don't need to go that fast. I really just need to make sure that I don't wreck. So I'm averaging, maybe 10 or 12, something like that on my commutes, which is plenty fast. It's faster than walking. It is a lot more active than walking, and it doesn't quite hurt my body as much as sitting down on a bicycle seat. So that's why I've been using it a lot. It's pretty fun, gives a good workout, and like I have talked about before, it is really similar to a snow skate. So you can kind of see there's this like surfy sort of way of controlling it, and it obviously takes a lot of ankle control and balance and all of that sort of good stuff. So I'm a lot better in my normal direction, but as I've been riding switch stance all month, I've been getting better in my normal direction without even riding it. It's pretty awesome. And I think this goes for pretty much anything that you do in life. If you do it right-handed normally and then you practice left-handed, you get better at it. Even if you're not practicing your right hand way, you still get better at it as you get more proficient at your non-dominant hand. And this has definitely been the case. I actually beat my own speed record. I think I had gone, it was like 15.2 miles an hour regular. And after riding this guy for only about a week, switch consistently, I beat my speed going switch. So now it's like 16.5, which still isn't getting up to the 18 miles an hour that this thing is capable of. But just kind of case in point that I'm still improving on this. I haven't really had it for very long, a couple of months tops. But getting better at riding left-handed has made my right-handed now. It's it's just so much easier for me to do it that way, both ways even. But I get to the point sometimes when I'm riding that I don't realize that I'm riding switch anymore. I've gotten comfortable enough after just a week of buzzing around only in switch. I'll leave my driveway in switch. I'll come all the way here in switch, as long as there isn't some emergency situation where maybe I'm balancing like this and waiting for the cars to clear, and there's some sort of gap, and maybe I'm balanced to where I can take off like this and cut through at just the right moment. I'll take that. But then as soon as I get across the road, I'll go back to switch. Whoa, and going slow, it's really hard to balance when you're not going anywhere. You've only got the width of the tire to balance on. But, as far as a review on the operation of this guy, it's what I expected. It is slightly more difficult to ride than I expected, but didn't really take too long. Maybe after 20 miles or so of riding around, I'm pretty confident. Let's see, let me ride duck foot for for a moment here. If y'all are familiar with, snowboard and snow skate and stuff like that, duck foot is when you're riding so that you can go in either direction, like so, and not have to worry about switching your feet. Makes it pretty controllable in both directions. But as I was saying, no surprises. No surprises is a good thing on a board like this. It just works. I think I might end up making some changes to it over the time. Not really getting into it yet, but I did add this because if you fall off, especially if you fall off the back foot first and your foot is still on this pad, well then it tries to take off and it'll burn your ankle. I had a pretty bad ankle burn. So, I mean, really, you just get used to jumping off so that it doesn't happen, period. But this helps for, learning at least, I guess. And you won't get like a shoe sucked in or a shoelace or something like that. Rocks won't get kicked up through in there. They just kind of get trapped and they go around and scratch the inside of the fender instead. But that's really the only option part that I would suggest if you're looking at a one wheel. Make sure you get a wheel cover. It really is a safety issue long term. Don't listen to the people that would say that, that's for pansies or whatever. No, it's for safety, honestly. The one wheel community isn't quite that bad, but there's definitely some people out there that are like, oh, it has to be this way, the way that I do it, or else you're not a real person, I guess. I don't know. You're a bot. Only bots would ride with a fender. Yeah, let's see. Anything else notable to talk about this thing? Besides it being a good workout and a lot more fun, probably the most used electric vehicle that I've purchased in 5 years plus. I mean, when they operate, I ride the crap out of my Surons, but they do tend to have little problems here and there. I currently have a short in my wiring harness that I still hadn't fixed on that, so the Suron is currently not operational. I just need to take it. I took all half of it apart. We swapped out the controllers, still wasn't working. Managed to blow up my fingers by accident. I dead shorted a thin wire with 60 whatever volts that the sucker runs on, and I copper plated my fingers with that one. So it needs work. It needs some work. And in the meantime, I'm just going to commute every day that's a nice day outside. I commute with this. I've got work vehicles, so I can go to work on this, go from my home office, but definitely have a lot of home office storage. Go to one of the other locations and then drive a work vehicle to and from my work locations and then leave them at work, ride this back to the house at nighttime, or drive my car in halfway, bring this with me, commute. Yeah, like I said, it's really easy to throw into the back of a vehicle. Extremely good for that final mile commute. Actually, whenever I have to go downtown from the shop at this point, I use this instead of driving to off campus or off downtown and then walking in that final like half mile. It's actually quicker just to ride this thing because we're about a mile from downtown. By the time I find parking and then walk to where I'm going, I'm already there with this. I timed it, and it was like within 2 minutes of me getting to my normal parking spot, I was already downtown and where I needed to go, which normally would be about another 8 to 10 minute walk from trying to find parking. It can be a problem in, we're a small city, but a lot of times parking is an issue. So yeah, if you got any questions about it specifically, I just kind of wanted to tell you that, hey, it's still working. And it still works, and I'm really enjoying it, honestly. One of my top favorite purchases of the last 5 years, I guess. It's a lot more fun than I anticipated that it would be. And as you can see, I'm just kind of like playing around on it. We're here talking and reviewing it really hard here, and I still am having a good time playing with it. The only complaint that I would have is that what is she, 6 years old, my first grader wanted to ride it, but she couldn't trigger both of these pads at the same time. But she totally had the side-to-side balance. I was just kind of holding her, and she was able to ride it, but we couldn't keep it triggered. It kept shutting off on her. Really frustrating. She wants to ride it. So One Wheel, tell us what we could do other than me literally either spoofing it on, which is kind of dangerous with a kid on it like that, or you know, I could make one of the sensors think that it's always on and then just use the toe sensor potentially, or other way around. It doesn't really matter, but it kind of bums me out that my kid, that I have 2 children. The older one is just like, no, that's not for me. He's not really an active kid. He likes to ride bicycles a lot. He'll go ride a bicycle while I ride this with him. But when I ask him, hey, you want to try this thing out? You know, no, that's not for me, Dad. But my youngest, she's the kind that's just like, yeah, whatever, I got that. Let's just hop on. She wants to and can't because she's just physically, like, her foot isn't triggering it. That's a bummer. I want her to be on this thing by 2nd grade, riding it around. So that I have to buy another one. I want her to steal it from me. That would be nice. But she is the active kid. She's in gymnastics by choice, not by force. So not really a surprise that she would be into this kind of stuff. So yeah, besides that, you know, besides my 6-year-old being too small to trigger the trigger on this, there's really, so far, not a downside. I'm keeping active. I'm going to be ready for snow skate season when it rolls around. And yep. Oh yeah, maybe you can hear. It's starting to make noise now, only on the start, because it goes from a censored mode to a sensorless once it's rolling, I would guess. I mean, they call it a FOC controller. No, sorry, different product. Scratch that. But it's noisy, and I could hear from the first video that it wasn't making this noise. I kind of forgot. It wasn't noisy, was it not? But you can hear that grinding every time I switch. And that's, you know, my guess is that the bearings on the hub motor itself have a little bit of play. It kind of broke in after a little bit. And then the spacing of our Hall sensors changed just a little bit. And that makes it to where at the really low RPM, the commutation isn't as effective, isn't as efficient as it could be or as it was when I first had it. But it still functions just fine. If I was trying to race this, I'm sure that would be a little hesitation. But I'm not trying to race it. So it works fine for me, but just something that I noticed, that noise is now present, and I've heard that could be like an issue of sorts. But again, not racing. I'm not looking for that max performance off the line, so whatever, no big deal. So as I've already said once, I'll say it again. If you do have any questions, leave them down below. Do my best to get to them. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Woo. Gravel. Yeah, off-road's hard. Off-road is hard, especially switch, but not so bad.